Look, I need you to stop what you're doing for a second and just listen. Especially you, the guy who's been married for a decade or two and thinks your marriage is fine just because nobody's yelling inside the house. I'm going to show you that this silence in your living room is not peace. It's the sound of your marriage falling apart. You just haven't realized yet that your relationship isn't stable. It's on a countdown. And believe me, you do not want to see what happens when that clock hits 0. I'm going to ask you for 16 minutes right now. Invest this time with me here so you don't have to lose the next 16 years of your life trying to fix what can be prevented today. I want to save you and your entire family from years of suffering. But who am I? And why should you listen to me? My name is Josh. I'm 65 years old today. I managed to get back together with my wife Hanna 12 years ago. 12 beautiful, honest, and real years. But before that, I spent 5 years in a cold, empty house because I was exactly where you are right now. I was the guy who came home, handed over a paycheck, and thought that was the exact same thing as being present. I was the guy who kissed her on the cheek and asked, "How was your day?" while my eyes were glued to my phone screen, with absolutely no real intention of listening to what she had to say. And the worst part? I thought I was doing my job as a husband. I lost Hanna when I was 48. I made every single mistake you're making right now. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what I didn't understand back then. The secret that nearly cost me everything that actually mattered. To really understand how the disaster happens, and every wrong step we take without even realizing it, you need to look at a man with me. Let's call him the 48-year-old Josh. Look closely at him, because he might look a lot like the guy you see in the mirror every morning. This Josh was admired by everyone. He was what society calls a good man. He was the first to arrive at the office and the last to leave. In his head, every promotion and every extra dollar in the bank account was a declaration of love for Hanna. He thought he was building a castle, but he didn't realize he was leaving the queen outside in the freezing cold. Can you spot his mistake? If you haven't caught it yet, let me tell you from the experience of someone who lived inside the 48-year-old Josh. Back then, I treated my marriage like a trophy on a shelf, something I had already won and didn't need to put effort into anymore. I would see Hanna sighing in the kitchen and think, she must be tired. Tomorrow, I'll take her out to dinner. I truly didn't understand that her sigh wasn't physical exhaustion. It was the oxygen leaking out of a balloon that was about to deflate completely. I want you to pay close attention to this. I was a master at making excuses for myself. The most common ones were, I do everything for them, or they should be thanking me and be proud of my success. But if you look closely, I did everything for myself, for my ego, for my own security, without ever stopping to ask, Hanna, who are you today? Or simply, Hanna, are you happy? The 48-year-old Josh thought his wife's silence meant a life without conflict, when in reality, it meant a life without connection. And now I ask you, are you also ignoring the obvious signs in your house because your success out there is making you blind? Are you making the same mistake of thinking that just because she's still there right now, she always will be? So, let me tell you how that 48-year-old Josh realized his countdown was over, and how he finally noticed that Hanna wasn't going to be there forever. The ticking time bomb hit 0 on an ordinary Tuesday. I remember every detail. I got home around 7 p.m., my head full of problems from the company, expecting to find that silence I thought was peace. But this time, Hanna's car wasn't in the driveway. I walked in, I called her name, and the echo of my own voice was the only answer. When I walked up the stairs and opened the closet, her side was empty. Not a single hanger was left. In that exact moment, my castle of success crumbled. I fell to my knees on the floor of that bedroom. And for the first time in decades, I wasn't the great provider. I was just a lonely man, surrounded by things that had no value anymore. I spent the next 5 years living with the side effects of that ordinary Tuesday. And I want you to understand what 5 years of absolute silence really feels like. In the first year, I felt anger. I told myself, how could she do this after everything I gave her? In the second year, the anger turned into a deep sadness, the kind you feel in your bones. But it was in the third year that it finally hit me. I started to realize that I didn't lose Hanna on that Tuesday. I had lost Hanna slowly. In every dinner I didn't pay attention to. In every time I chose work over her. In every sigh I ignored. I spent 5 years learning the difference between living with someone and being present for someone. I used to go to coffee shops and watch couples talking, and I felt a jealousy that ate me alive. I would have given away all my success, my entire bank account, just to have 5 more minutes of that silence I had neglected so badly. I had to die as the 48-year-old Josh, so a real man could finally begin to be born. And that is exactly why I am here today, to save you from this desert before it reaches your home. I don't want you to smell an empty closet, to finally value the person standing next to you. If you are here right now, it's because something inside you knows your clock is ticking. Subscribe right now to make sure your story doesn't end in an empty closet. But before we keep going, I want you to write down in the comments, I am present, just so you make a commitment to yourself that you are no longer going to be a ghost in your own home. The good side of all this is that the desert has a funny way of clearing your vision. It was in my 4th year of loneliness that I stopped asking, why did she leave me? And started asking the question that actually mattered. Why would she stay? And right here is where I need you to pay close attention, because this is the turning point. I discovered that love is not a contract you sign at the altar and boom, it's guaranteed forever. Love is a living organism. And like any living organism, if you stop feeding it, it starves to death. I was feeding my bank account with overtime and bonuses, but I was letting the soul of my marriage die of thirst. I realized that Hanna didn't need a luxury provider. She needed a witness. Do you understand the difference? The world is full of husbands who act like judges, deciding if their wife is right or wrong to be tired. But what she needs is someone who truly witnesses her life. Someone who notices her new haircut, who sees when her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes, and who knows what her biggest fear is today. I started studying relationships like my life depended on it, because honestly, it did. And I realized that the secret I never understood before was generative listening. I bet that you, just like the 48-year-old Josh, only listen to your wife to give an answer, to fix a technical problem, or to just end the conversation quickly. But the kind of listening that saves marriages isn't about fixing things. It's about validating feelings. It's about making her feel felt by you. In those 5 years, I learned that a man's biggest mistake is treating his wife like she's part of the furniture. You stopped pursuing her because you thought the game was over and the trophy was yours. But listen closely. In a marriage, the game restarts every single day when the sun comes up. If you don't win her over today, you are one step closer to that Tuesday I lived through. And trust me, you do not want to go through that. They say a wise man learns from his own mistakes, but a truly smart man learns from the mistakes of others. I already messed up. I already paid the price, and I suffered what you don't have to suffer. I am here so my mistake can be your greatest lesson. And the best part? For you, this lesson is absolutely free. But how did I get out of that 5-year desert and get to where I am today? Well, I wish I could tell you it was like in the movies, with a romantic scene in the pouring rain. But real life is much quieter than that. It was a slow, step-by-step process. When I finally got the chance to sit across from Hanna, after 3 years of a silence that almost drove me crazy, the new Josh didn't ask her to come back. He didn't make those empty promises you've probably made during an argument. Instead, he did something he never had the courage to do before. He dropped his armor. I looked into her eyes and said, "Hanna, I finally understand that I left you completely alone, even when I was sitting right next to you on the couch for 20 years. Winning her back wasn't an event. It was a 2-year journey. It took 5 years in total for us to live under the same roof again. And today, when people look at the 65-year-old Josh and Hanna walking in the park, they see a couple that looks like they're on a never-ending honeymoon. But what they don't see is the iron foundation we built over the ashes of who we used to be. For the past 12 years, we've lived a marriage that our first 20 years never even knew. You know why? Because now we have what I call radical intentionality. We don't leave anything for later. If I hear a sigh in the kitchen while she's washing dishes, I stop whatever I'm doing. If I see a look of worry on her face, my phone goes straight into the drawer. I finally understood that love isn't something you have, it's something you do. I didn't try to get back the marriage I lost. I had to let that marriage die to create something completely new with the exact same woman. And that is the hope I want to give you today. You don't need to change your partner to have a new, passionate marriage. You just need to change the man you are when you close the front door. So, what are you going to do today with everything I just told you? Listen to me. Your homework for tonight is not to stop by the florist and buy an expensive bouquet. Flowers don't fix anyone's loneliness. What you are going to do requires a lot more courage than just swiping a credit card. Today, when you get home from work, I want you to take your step 0. Before you even put the key in the door, leave your phone in the car. Or the second you walk in, put it on silent and shove it in a drawer. Go find your wife. Look into her eyes. Not at the TV, not at the wall, right into her eyes. And ask her a real question. Not that autopilot, "How was your day?" Ask something like, "What was the hardest part of your day today?" Or, "Is there anything I can do tonight to take some weight off your shoulders?" And after you ask, close your mouth and listen. Practice generative listening. Be the witness she's been begging to have for years. You know what? Your marriage isn't going to be saved by a luxury vacation or a diamond necklace on her birthday. Your marriage will be saved or destroyed in the next 15 minutes you spend together on an ordinary Tuesday. The choice is yours. If our conversation today set off an alarm in your head, and if you've decided as a man that you are not going to be the guy waking up in an empty house a few years from now, subscribe to the channel right now. Every single week, I'll be right here to remind you of what really matters and to give you the real tools, tested through pain and time, to build the unbreakable marriage you and your wife deserve. Don't let your clock hit 0. Take action today. I'm Josh, and I'll see you in the next video.